Hey everyone, it's been a while since I've actually looked at any of the ents or changes since 1.16 in the jump code, and it's now 1.24, almost 25. So I'll just start off with a very brief synopsis on everything that's happened. Hopefully later on I'll go into more detail. So on the mapvote side, this is just for players. Mapvote new, it now votes the brand new map on the server, so whatever's last in map list. Mapvote to do, it's the newest map you haven't finished. And if you're just a jumper, tune out. So the rest is for mappers only. So for teleporters, we now have a spawn flag 3, and what this does is save velocity. So when I say save velocity, it saves the speed and the angle, so it actually ignores the angle of the destination. So if you want the player to actually come out at a speed and be looking forward, you want the exit to be in the same direction as they went in. So this also requires a mset fasttele 1 to work correctly. So you can do this locally by yourself, and just when you upload the map, let one of the admins know that it needs this. And teleporters can also have a count and a style now. So the count is basically saying you need this many checkpoints in order to use this teleporter. So this is a total value. So for the style side of things, this goes along with the count, 1337. So if you set this style to 1337, it changes this exactly to an at least. So this means if you set a count of 3 and a style of 1337, it means you need at least 3 checkpoints, but you can have 4, 5, 6, whatever, versus if you don't set a style, you need exactly 3. So if you set a style to 1000 through 1063, so what this does is it corresponds to the count values on the checkpoint boxes. So if you have that specific one, so a count value of 1 would correspond with a style of 1001, and if you have this, you can't use the teleporter. So this would work well on hub style maps. So if you have a specific teleporter that you don't want someone to be able to use once they reach a certain point on your map, this is what you want to use. Now a style of 2000 to 2063, again 0 to 63 on the CP boxes. But in this case, you can use the teleporter. As far as what this can be used for, I'm not overly sure. I'm sure there's something, but I just figured it would be useful to have. So if you haven't seen the CP box ents, they've been around for a while now. So you can use a count 0 to 63 and a skin of 0 to 9. Realistically, you'll probably only use a 3 because it's the transparent or clear value. You can actually also make these interact as if they're the CP clear or the start line ents that I showed in the last video. So what you want to do is have a target and set it to either CP clear or start line, and you can see how those work in the previous video. So I'm going to get into the specifics of which each ent does, and if you'll just look at my editor, so this is the top down here. I prefer you just ignore these bottom views, they're not very helpful to the video, and you can see here what I'm doing. So I'm going to start with the CP box, simply because you need it pretty much to use the teleporter at all, or at least the new teleporter functions. So if you go down to your ents, and you can see here I have a CP box large, medium, small. I mostly use the medium, and I make the ent and I snap it to its center. So you can see here my spawn is right here and my box is right here. So first thing you want to do is you want to give it a count, because a CP box without a count is basically useless as a checkpoint. So again, we can go from 0 to 63, so I'm going to start with a 0. And now if I don't give it a skin number or a skin num, remember it's 0 through 9 and 3 is clear, I am going to give this a skin num, but I am not going to give it a 3 just so that we can actually see it during the editing, so I'm going to give it a 1. Alright, so from that little basic input, we can see we have a box here, And if we walk through it, you can see up in the top left that you have reached a checkpoint in however many seconds that was. Checkpoint boxes really are that simple. Really all there is to them is just a count and a skin. Typically you want the skin num to always be 3. So your count, you just want to incrementally increase. So if you want to add a new one, so this one is 0. And so I just duplicate this, and let's say this is my second checkpoint. All I have to do is make that a 1, and I now have a second checkpoint. Moving on to teleporters. The first thing I want to talk about is the spawn flag 3 on the either trigger teleport or miscellaneous teleport. So the spawn flag 3 saves velocity, which means both speed and angle again. So what you want to do is set a teleporter like this here, and you want to give it a spawn flag 3, and you want to give it a target like normal. Now you can see here, this is actually the player start, but you can use a normal teleporter destination. You just want to make sure that the target name is the same. So this is how it should look when you load into the game. The 2 boxes and the checkpoint. So what you want to do first is log in and mset fasttele. You can see it's 0 by default, and you want it 1 when you're using this sort of teleporter. So you can see now when we jump through, you'll carry your velocity. Now, something to note, you can see how if I turn a certain way, it does not change the angle that I go through the teleporter. The first of the 2 new fields for teleporters is count. And you can see on this one, I've added a count of 2, which should take me back to here, and I have 2 checkpoints in the map, which, so convenient. So in game, what this will look like. So now we know that this teleporter right here has a count of 2, which means we need 2 of these to get to that, destination. So if I walk over it, it says nothing, which I should probably add a message, but later on. So now if I grab 1 of these, again, nothing. But if I grab 2 of these, I teleport. So now you'll see that I actually added a style of 1337. So if you remember back to the short explanation, the 1337 takes it from exactly the amount of checkpoints to at least the amount of checkpoints. So we can test that in game. So now we can see we load in, and there's 3 boxes, 3 different checkpoints, and a teleporter with a count of 2 and a style of 1337, which means we need at least 2, not exactly 2. So previously, if we would have done this and then stopped on the checkpoint, it would have done nothing and we'd be stuck in purgatory. But now, since it's a style of 1337, we can walk through it. Magic. Moving on to the other new styles, so the 1000 through 1063. So this means if you have a certain checkpoint, you can't use a teleporter. So you can see here that I have a style of 1000, which means if I have a checkpoint that's a count 0, which this one on the right is, that means if I pick up that checkpoint, I can no longer use this teleporter. So as I just said, so this is the 0 count checkpoint. So if I grab this one on the right, I won't be able to use it, but if I grab the one on the left, I should still be able to. And if I haven't grabbed any, I should also be able to, like I showed there. So we have that checkpoint, and that's a count value of 1, so I can use the checkpoint. However, if I grab this checkpoint, which is a count of 0, I can no longer grab that checkpoint, as you can see from the message in the top left. So directly in the opposite of the 1000 range, the 2000 range basically means if you have a checkpoint, you actually can use the teleporter. So we'll see how that looks in game. So the 2000 values, it basically means you need a specific checkpoint in order to use a teleporter. So in this case, we know the teleporter is a 2000, which means the count of a checkpoint must be 0. So this one is 1. So if I just walk through it without anything, you can see you need a specific checkpoint for this teleporter. Now if I just walk through this teleporter to the left, which is a count of 1, you can see the same message, I don't have the right teleporter. Now if I walk through this one with a count of 0, you're going to see magic. Oh, here we go.